going, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Content Creators University. For those of you who are new, this is season 2. Yes, you heard me right. Season 2 of the Content Creators University. And if you don't know me well, my name is JP Hightek. I am a branding expert, cinematographer, and software developer. What I do is help businesses, entities elevate their value proposition, imagery through high quality visuals, live videos, professional things, setup, web design, and so much more. You can connect with me. Just go to my website, jphightek.com. But today, you know why we're here. We have another amazing guest. Like we do every single week, right? We have one of the best minds in the content creation ecosystem. What to do is come on this platform to teach you and I things that we need to understand, to elevate, improve what we have going on as creators, right? Like I always say, the day you stop learning, you stop growing. And here at the Content Creators University, we never stop learning, right? Our motto here is create, impact, innovate. And today we're talking about something that I know hits home for almost any creator I personally know, is how to improve your online presentation. Kat is behind stage. She'll be here shortly so that we can chop this up and see what are the things we need to consider. Why is it that it is so important to polish your online presentation, especially today? Right? And what are the best ways and tools that we should consider in order to get that done, right? We have to know. All right, but before we continue, folks, I want to ask you if you like this type of videos. We do this every single week. So I want to go ahead and encourage you. Subscribe to this channel. If you're listening to the podcast, well, go ahead and hop on YouTube. Look for youtube.com JP Hightek Reviews and come and subscribe. Connect with us every single week and let's have this conversation. Now, before I continue, let's talk about who else will be on the show right before this ad. We'll be right back. All right. Welcome back. So now we're about to talk about who is next, right? Who's coming up next as a guest in the Content Creators University. Before I talk about that, you saw the ads of our sponsors. Well, remember, this show is sponsor and listener supported. So big thanks to our sponsors. Earlier, the very last video you saw, the ad was from RTN Streams. So like I always say, right, RTN Streams is your best companion to your eCam. If you all about taking your online broadcasting seriously, elevating that, well, you want to consider using RTN Streams because eCam is what I'm using right now, right? So eCam is my encoder. eCam is allowing me to broadcast this out to you. However, RTN Streams is what I'm using to decode this onto my website. And this is also broadcasted to my Roku TV application. Guess what? RTN Streams is what I've used to create my Roku TV application. The great thing about it is if you know how to upload a video to YouTube, you know how to use RTN Streams. That's how easy it is. And you have your own Roku TV application. You can change the menus anytime. You can change the thumbnails, have custom categories, make it look like Netflix. Well, if you don't believe me, go ahead and look for my Roku TV application. Look for JP Hightek TV. Check it out and go to rtnstreams.com. Or if you're all about free, that ad was about you getting some free overlays. Hop on, go to rtnstreams.com, get yourself some free overlays, just like the ones I have in this show. You know, it's all about improvement in your online presentation. So go check that out. Now, also big thanks to Charles Jackson Media, our other sponsor. If you're all about building a professional studio, you want to connect with Charles Jackson Media, right? Just go to his website, charlesjacksonmedia.com. You will not regret it, right? They are amazing and have years and years of experience into helping you having a great setup. There's a lot that go into that, right? So now, who is next? As you can see right there, I have Joel Fauner. He's going to be here with us tomorrow. And tomorrow he's going to be talking to us about how to build the best audio, right? Audio, like, you know, professionals will tell you that it is the most important thing in your entire setup. Audio. Literally, people will tolerate you if you have a good audio with a bad video, but they will not take a bad audio with a good video. Your audio is pretty much everything. So you want to be here tomorrow if you want to learn more about that. It's so crucial. I'm excited to have him on this show tomorrow at the same time, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, right? Besides that, next week, we have Tajuana Taylor. Now, Tajuana is going to be talking to us about something that's very, very important, right? Is how we can translate our business understanding that we need to make connections. And I'm talking about the power of networking. That's what we'll be talking about next Tuesday, right here on the Content Creators University. Be there or be square. I'm just kidding, folks. I want to see you there. I'm excited about this conversation with Tajuana. She's a professional in the game. And also we have Dr. Elo. He's going to be with us here next Wednesday. And Elo's just going to talk to us about how to podcast using broadcasting software. You heard me right. That's amazing. I'm excited about that conversation. I can't wait for him to be here so we can talk about it, right? So that's it for the folks that are going to be joining us here. Now we have a guest behind stage, so be ready. She'll be right on the platform right after this. Stay with me. All right. Hello. Welcome to the show, Kat.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So, like we always do, right? We always say we want to learn. And so literally every single week we have an expert that will come and teach us things. So today you are going to be our professor.
I like it.
Yes. Yeah, Kat the professor today, right? And first thing I want to do is, for the folks that do not know you, I want you to take a minute or two and just introduce yourself. Who is Kat and what is she doing here? Go ahead if you don't mind, please.
Yeah, so I am a trainer and facilitator, and I love to teach people things that make their lives easier. And basically, I worked in the post-secondary or kind of higher education university environment for a long time. And part of what I did was teaching other people. And I absolutely loved it, but I didn't get to do too much of it. So I ended up deciding to leave my full-time job at the university about 2 years ago and pursue my own training and facilitation, start my own business. And I was just sort of starting to get into it, not even a year when everything shut down. And I realized we were all going to be forced onto the virtual stage. And I spent those first few months trying to adapt. I had a session that was booked for in person for 3 hours with a group. And I thought, okay, what am I going to do with this group? We have moved from in person to Zoom. I need to do something and make sure that they get a lot of value from what I'm doing. So I really did spend a lot of time last spring and summer learning the technology, learning how to leverage Ecamm, learning how to bring it into Zoom. How do I add graphics, make it more interesting, support different learning styles? I don't want to just talk at people. And I especially don't want to just slap up some slides and then read them to people. I mean, that's
Right.
draining and I didn't want that. So I started to learn how to do that. And I was mostly working on teaching people to understand themselves better, understand why they got stuck, team dynamics. And I would find that people would come to me afterwards and say, okay, I liked your workshop, but how did you do the thing on the screen? How did you get your slides beside you? And they wanted to ask about the actual virtual setup. So I realized last fall there was a real need for people to learn this. And a lot of people had to pivot and they had to start teaching online. So how could they do it in a way that looked a little bit more professional and implement some of the things that I was doing? So last January, not even a year, I decided to completely overhaul my business and took a risk and decided I'm just going to start teaching this on YouTube and see what happens. And there's been a really
Wow.
healthy response. And I'm obviously serving a need that people have out there to understand how to level up their online presentations.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is fantastic. And of course, you had the courage to do so, right? Like, and a lot of people listening to this and watching this video are where you were before you took that leap, right? To
Yeah.
just jump into it. And that is a big deal. And you're so correct. Today, we are 90, 80% so virtual, right? A lot of people were more reliant on our digital platform than anything else, and
Yeah.
presentation is key. Now, did you decide, right, to go full time into it based on the feedback and the requests you were getting, or you just felt it was a need to solve?
Good question. I think it was a really great example of when you notice something you enjoy doing is also the thing people are asking you. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember someone telling me pretty early on to when I was a new entrepreneur, so not that long ago, but they had said, pay attention to the questions that people ask you. Because if people come back and keep asking you these questions, it means that you are solving a problem and it means that you have answers that people are looking for. So I really did listen to that. And honestly, if I look back at what I did before, I wasn't getting as many questions. And then as soon as I started to do this, more
Mm-hmm.
and more questions came in, and that sort of validated this idea that maybe I could teach that. And I did have a few test areas where I would hop on a Zoom call and explain how to do something, and so I was kind of practicing it to see, can I even teach this stuff? And it seemed to be resonating, and a few people said they really appreciated my teaching style, that something that seemed complex actually seems doable. And so I kind of took all those things. I remember learning about the concept of ikigai, which is a Japanese
Mm-hmm.
term around when the thing that you're good at is a thing people need and they're willing to pay you for it. And also the world needs it. And the world needs to know how to do virtual presentations better than what we're getting because there's a lot of garbage out there. And
So
people
true. Uh-huh.
people seemed willing to pay me for it and told me I'm good at it. So it was all those things coming together and I enjoyed doing it as well.
Okay, that's nice. That was going to be my next question because, one thing is to be willing to do it, another thing is to be good at doing it. See,
Yeah.
those are two different things. And I'm glad that you are good at doing it. But have you always been good at teaching people things?
I would say that has been a strength of mine for a long time. And I, even when I was studying in university, people, I would run sessions, people would ask me questions, and I was sort of running impromptu training. And I remember distinctly thinking at that time, I hadn't graduated yet. I want to help people. I want to teach people. I actually got adult braces because I thought, I think I'm going to be in front of people when I'm older and I would like to have nicer teeth. So it was always in my mind that I wanted to be delivering value and making people's lives easier in some way. I just didn't know what that looked like. So I do have a history of teaching and helping people out.
Nice. Now, of course, and I hear this a lot, right? With clients, potential clients, and different things. But we have another expert in the room, folks. I told you it's gonna be her that's gonna be teaching us, not me teaching. So let me ask you this, right, Kat? Why? Like the thing is, why is this so important? Why should I care about upgrading my online presentation? Why can't I do it the way I used to do it? Let's say pre-pandemic. What was the big deal today? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, in my opinion, I think when everything first happened and we were shut down and we are all meeting virtually, people treated it like it was temporary and thought, I don't really have to learn how to do this because we're all going to go back to normal. And then I don't think any of us expected the length of the pandemic to be what it was. Now, the
Right.
honest truth is that there were a lot of people who were already leveraging this technology, running webinars on successful online businesses. So that was already a thing. I was already a paid Zoom account holder. So it wasn't brand new, but it was new to a lot more people. And I think as the reality set in that this is going to be longer term, but also there are a lot of companies now that see the benefits of meeting virtually. The fact that they can have a meeting with someone across the world, they don't have to fly there, they don't have to travel. They can have
Right.
the best minds in the room, not just the closest minds in the room. They're realizing that there's a lot of benefit to that. However, we've also learned that the impacts of being in front of the screen when it's not done well is extremely draining on us, but it's not always that way. Sometimes we have a Zoom meeting or we meet or we go to a workshop or presentation, a virtual conference, and it actually lifts us up and it makes us feel energized and excited and we actually gain value from it. It can be done. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
personally feel like it's starting to sink in that you can't just never learn this and go back to normal, that this is actually going to be part of our regular type of business that we do, and not just the online entrepreneurs, but regular companies are starting to leverage this technology as well.
That is so true. Thanks for your explanation because yeah, I mean we didn't realize so that's you're 100% right. We didn't realize how permanent or semi-permanent this will
Yeah.
become. And as we realize, oh snap, my life is gonna be a big part of it. It's gonna be online now. So I used to. So the way of thinking had to change, right? Where we were used to going to a physical place, right? Having the professional set at our offices, at our workplace, and all those things. Now we need to take the professional workspace and put it online, which is, in my humble opinion as well, adding to what you said, is why it's so important. And on top of that, um, when you look more professional, you look more credible. Let's just be honest, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you say. You will always pick the more professional over the less.
Hmm.
So the better your presentation, your look, and everything is, the more serious and more credible people will take you. So it also helps with your credibility, especially if you're gonna have meetings online and that are gonna be long meetings and companies that are the professional in a specific area. Whenever you're speaking and everything, you just ugly and you really don't want to connect with that person, then you want to get out. Because if you think about it, people used to spend a lot of money for face to face meetings, galas, and
Hmm.
conferences. Now we're having virtual everything. So they're working hard to try to transpose that experience
Yeah.
online as well, which is why we need teachers like you.
Well,
So
I
that's
I'm
pretty
curious.
cool.
I am genuinely curious if you have noticed this, because I have had, so part time I've been helping out a not-for-profit in town. They're trying to launch a new project, and we needed to meet with a few different companies to decide whose platform was going to host this project. So we sat down in the spring with five different salespeople, five different sales calls, and I was shocked at how many of them were dialing it in. And I thought, really? Like, one guy just didn't turn on his camera. He's like, it's morning. I hope you don't mind if I don't turn on my camera. And I thought, if we were meeting in person this morning, you'd put on a suit and you'd show up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
so strange to me that people have such low expectations, but they're not realizing that if you're actually doing business, the people on the other end of the call, they're paying attention. And we did not work with any of the businesses that dialed it in. We worked with the person who showed up. They were professional but kind. It was still lighthearted, the type of
Mm-hmm.
person. Yes, they passed the beer test. You'd go and have a beer with them. But they were also in a quiet room. We could hear them
Right.
clearly. They did not have a fancy setup, but they were prepared, they were professional, and they had a clear camera and clear audio. I cannot say the same for the other people. And that to me was just so disheartening to see that happening. And actually,
Mm-hmm.
yesterday I was on a support call with a company that we ended up, one of the other companies we ended up working with for a different part of this project. And he just never turned on his camera, didn't acknowledge that he wasn't going to, just kind of launched into the meeting. And it left all of us thinking, what is happening? So I think that, I don't know. I'm curious. Have you experienced that at all with some of your business calls?
Yes, actually, I'm so glad you're talking about it. I did, and it's just shocking to me because you're correct. I have sealed so many deals simply because I've taken the time to show up on video and be professional. Because the expectation used to be we're having a meeting. What time are we meeting? Face to face. Then what? You get dressed, you get out of your house, you drive, and you look professional. So why is it that now that we want to meet, even though it's online, you are not taken seriously? And I've seen that happen so many times. And personally, even when I'm interviewing other companies, and I'm sometimes I'll ask, "Do you see me?" They'll tell me, "Yes, I see you." I don't see you, I say. And they're like, oh yeah. And for me, the thing is, if you cannot make that little effort. And I'm not asking you to have $1 million camera, but the effort of showing up is a meeting. So we're online, and the face to face is gotta take place, because that's how you, like, we cannot judge emotions and tell all those nuances that goes and the connection we can have, because whenever you start with a company, you're building a new relationship. So how do I know that you are the right person for the job? Like,
Yeah.
anybody can hide behind an audio and talk, but that's why we have interviews, right? That's why we meet face to face and see if you're the right
Yeah.
person for the job, if I am the right person for this, and things like that. So it is vital, but looks like some people are not getting it yet, which is why we're talking about it, to
Yeah.
encourage the folks that do not realize that, oh snap, I might be losing out because I'm not doing this.
Hmm.
Yeah. And even as we start, I believe that there's levels to it, right? Obviously, I know you didn't start looking this amazing on camera, having all the fancy mics and everything from the beginning, but you took it
Sure
seriously.
didn't.
Well, how was your journey? How did you end up at this level?
Well, it's funny that you say that because I actually just posted a throwback picture this morning on Instagram, or this afternoon, showing 2 years ago, because my desk had a laptop on a riser with a separate keyboard, and I had my Blue Yeti microphone, which I do not use anymore, but I had my little Blue Yeti, my laptop, and then a C920 Logitech webcam. That was my setup, and it worked
Wow.
at the time, and I was able to get my message out. People could see me clearly. I was looking directly at the camera because it was the right height. So I was able to make little changes to have a makeshift studio. And then
Mm-hmm.
as I realized, okay, this is my livelihood. I am training people, I'm teaching. I want to make sure my setup looks good. And then as I started to teach other people, I definitely wanted
Right.
to invest in having a better studio. So today compared to 2 years ago, very big difference. I've come a long way, but you don't have to start with all the fancy things. You just want to make sure people can see you and that you sound good, and try to bring that energy and actually put some effort. You don't even need to have fancy overlays in order to show up and to stand out. You have to
Right. Right.
care, and you have to do a little bit of that preparation in advance, and that will go a really long way.
That's true. That's true. Now, we're going to take a little ad break and come back. And now we want to talk about, how do we do this, right? Implementation now, hands on. What are the things to consider, software setup, and all that? What do you personally use? What do you recommend? All that, because I know people are wondering. And also do a shout out to the folks that are in the comment section. So stay with me. We'll be right back.
This is Todd.
Hi.
This is Todd's mom.
Hi.
In a moment, Todd's mom will read her son's internet browsing history.
What?
Aloud, please.
No.
Supermodels on trampolines.com. Why don't girls like me? How to overcome an overbearing mother.
Okay, cut. Cut.
If you wouldn't want
Stop.
mom looking through your web history, why would you let hackers, ad companies, or your internet and cellular provider do the same thing?
Why does my junk burn?
They can track and record everything you do online, but not if you have ExpressVPN.
Why did you buy a $200 ninja outfit?
For fighting.
ExpressVPN apps keep your activity and identity private while you browse, stream, email, or download. Protect all of your devices with just one click.
Are my hands small?
Okay, I'm done. You guys are all terrible people.
ExpressVPN. Take back your privacy today.
Ooh.
Hey guys, welcome back. If you're just joining us, we've been here with Kat, and we're talking about online presentation, right? Very, very important. So we were talking about why should we consider upgrading our online presence? Why is it that she did it? How did she end up doing what she's doing? So now we're going to talk about implementation, how to do these things, what to consider, softwares, and the investment, the cost, and those type of things. So let me go ahead and bring it back on the stage. Hey, Kat, thanks for all the great knowledge you've been giving us in regards to online presentation, right? I do know today you're helping a lot of people upgrade their online presence, their presentation, master the softwares that you use, and you have a lot of recommendations and different things like that. So let's talk about it, right? For somebody, first of all, we all at a different level in our online presentations. But I know as a teacher, as an expert of this, you do have some recommendations. Can you share with us, what do you recommend? First, let's start from the little. Let's talk about software. What would you recommend? And you say is that ideal in order to upgrade everything, and why?
So my favorite is Ecamm. Now I'm a Mac user and I love the simplicity and the user interface of Ecamm. And as you are well aware, Ecamm is wonderful. Now that is not necessarily in every single person's budget, or maybe you don't have a Mac. I know there's a few of you out there, the Windows users. But the other thing that I will often teach is OBS. It is free, it's open source, and so it is readily available to anyone regardless of your computer. And it also doesn't demand as much to your computer. So if you have a lighter weight computer, that's a nice way to start out, because you can quickly start to add some graphics to your Zoom calls or WebEx or Teams, whatever you use to present. So that's a really nice starting point to be able to add some graphics. Now yours are next level, and I don't teach that caliber and quality. However, just being able to add a title, add your name when you're introducing
Right.
yourself, have some points. Today I ran a short training with a group and I was able to put up beside me, what's the overview? What are the main things we're going to talk about? And also reinforce the most important points so that I not only say them, but people can see them as well. So I think if you can learn how to leverage a virtual camera, which sounds complicated, but it's really not that complicated if you walk through the steps in order to get set up that way. So that's my first recommendation, I think, when it comes to software.
Okay, fantastic. And yeah, I mean, honestly, I can say you're correct. I'm using Ecamm as well right now. And it just, I always say one thing. When you're choosing the software, don't just choose it because everybody else is using it. Choose it because it is a complement to everything else you have going on. In other
Yes.
words, it's complementary to your process. It's not in the way. It's not going to be a headache. Whatever is complementary, whatever is adding something to your workflow, and the learning curve is a big deal, right? So there's so many other softwares more complicated out there, but the learning curve is what you want to look at, right? And also, Kat just said something very important: the processing power on your computer. We don't all have those powerful computers, even though I'm glad we Apple folks don't hate. We have the M1.
I don't yet. I don't. And I was hoping today there would be an announcement, and there wasn't. And I was a little bit
Yeah.
disappointed, or a lot.
I wish, right? I have the M1 that I'm using, but thinking about that, even the price of it is not an arm and a leg today, which is fantastic, and it just helps. It makes it easier to have a computer that can actually work with
Yeah.
your broadcasting software, which is cool. And Ecamm being the number one as of the recording of this video, that is fantastic. So that's why I always say, right, pick a software. Even when you're using Windows, right, think about the software that's going to be complementary to your workflow, and from there, look at the learning curve and make a choice. But definitely, I agree with you, Kat. You need some type of software that's going to help you elevate what the basic online meeting like Google Meet or Zoom stuff cannot do, so that you can stand out, right? I believe, right, Kat? Isn't that the whole thing,
Well,
standing out?
I will argue that, so I love that stuff. I teach that stuff. Obviously, I get very excited when you can start to incorporate graphics into your calls, and I think it does support different learning styles. However, I will say that I think focusing on some of the essentials when it comes to preparing and presenting, I mean, you can actually still host a, what's the word, like an engaging and uplifting meeting in Zoom, even if you don't have any of the fancy tech, the virtual camera. What you can do is engage your audience. You can sound like you're actually interested in the thing that you are talking about. You can work on your speaking skills and start to eliminate your ums and ahs and sound confident so that people actually stand up and pay attention. The other thing that you can do is find other ways to engage the entire group at the same time. I love using polls are a great example. Asking everyone a question. People know when you launch a poll, they know what to do. And that's one of the things that you can actually gain information and valuable like insight from the people on your call. You can also set expectations using a poll. You can use breakout rooms so that people are actually engaging and getting to know each other on a smaller basis. So there are still a ton of things that you can do that will lead to a positive experience for the people on your call, even if you don't have a virtual camera or fancy technology. But you have to be interested. You have to put a little bit of preparation and work into that call and be intentional. What do you want to accomplish? What does success look like at the end of this call, both for you and for everyone who is showing up live? So those are some things I would say as well. And those are things I like to emphasize because it's not just about the tech.
Yeah, I mean, you're 100% right. This should, again, complement your presentation, your content, your information you have to prepare. Now, because you can have all the fancy overlays and the fancy cameras and the fancy lighting and everything. If you really don't know your subject matter, it's not going to, nobody's going to care, and you will look the same way you looked before all of that. So, but all that this does, in my humble opinion, is helps elevate the overall experience of whoever is coming onto your platform, right?
Yes.
Like it's just a more pleasant experience. And it also, like you just said, Kat, like be engaging, right? If you don't have all of this, you may have to do a little extra stuff to be more engaging, right? For people to stay awake, and if it's an hour, 2 hour conversation and all that. So this just help captivate the attention, right? So you can do so much. You can have animated character jump on the screen. I have teachers that use this and they do that. You can use a green screen with this and do a whole bunch of fun stuff depending on where you're trying to take your experience, right? With your guests, which is phenomenal. It's just like, it makes it amazing, and that's why it's recommended. Now, I know, Kat, you teach this type of stuff. They don't know that. So, talking about you teaching it, what are you doing? I know you have some programs that people can jump on. Let's talk about that a little bit because I know we have a time. We have another 10 minutes before we get out of here, 10, 15. But let's talk about that because I know some people may want to connect with you and want to see, oh, snap, I can learn more. I want to connect with her, take her program. So what do you have going on? Tell them.
Well, one of the first things you can do if you're thinking, maybe I'll check her out, is the YouTube channel. And I do have a ton of content on the YouTube channel so that you can start to learn a little bit. But then I also have a training program. So if people are ready to dive a little deeper with kind of that step by step, so if you just have a little bit of time and you can't necessarily just dive deep down the rabbit hole of YouTube, I have something called Elevate Your Online Presentations. And so that is where we walk through the 4 different areas. I want people to focus on prep, presenting, elevating, and engaging, and having all of those aspects together. So I've put those together in my course, Elevate Your Online Presentations. So that is self-paced. But the nice thing about September, I wanted to do something special for the fall. So anyone who registers by the 23rd, I'm doing a 90-minute live training on setting up your production so that you can be ready with your graphics and have all of those things that take that up to the next level. And I have one for Ecamm and one for OBS, so they are separate so that we can focus just on the one that you want. And so that's something I'm really excited. And that production training is brand new, so I am thrilled to be doing that in I think September 30th and October 7th are the dates for those. So those are coming up soon, and I can't wait.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
pretty cool that she's doing that now. For the folks that do not know or are listening to it, where exactly should they go to have access to this?
Yes, catmulvihill.com/elevate is the place to go for information on the course. And also you can connect with me on social media, and I'm happy to answer questions if you have questions about that course. And also YouTube, lots of content there too.
There is indeed, actually, folks. Let me put it up again. You want to connect with her on YouTube. For the folks that are listening, again, add first name Cat, CAT, and then MULVIHILL, right? That's what you type .com/elevate to go to the program. Or if you just go to the .com, it will take you there, which is, a place that you want to go check her out, connect with her, and things like that. So let's go ahead and give some shout outs to the folks in the comment section. I do see you, Paul. Paul, thanks for being here. Paul Burke, I appreciate you. Hey, Team Windsor, what's going on, team? We appreciate you in the comment section. Hey, Cree, First Lady Cree, what's going on? And look, we got Charles in the comment section. Charles Jackson, one of our sponsors, he's here in the comment section. And Laura, we appreciate you joining us here every single week. Thanks for being here. And look, Angelica Prather. Hey, Angelica, what's going on? Thanks for being here as well. So, Kat, now, next level, right? You said earlier that you had the webcam. Why didn't you stay with the webcam? Even though I know you're teaching this thing, right? Let's say I don't teach it. I'm not a teacher. The webcam wasn't that bad, or would you say it was? Honestly, why should somebody consider that doesn't teach it? Why should I improve and spend all that money?
So I would say if that's all that works for you right now, use the webcam. You can absolutely use the webcam. And I know at the top of your show, I think you said people will tolerate bad video but not bad audio, and it's true. So, and a webcam is perfectly fine. I use the webcam for my overhead shots. Actually, it's just right here. You can see this is my webcam that I used to use, but now it's on a little stand so I can show people my overhead shot. So I still use it. But when I changed to a mirrorless camera, so the first one that I invested in was the Sony ZV-1 last year. Shortly after it came out, I watched a bunch of videos on it and thought, yeah, this is the one I want. Mm-hmm. When I switched, I immediately had comments from people. They just said, what did you do? You just took it up a level. It looked far more professional. And so it was an instantaneous boost. And a lot of people didn't know why, but when I show up on calls and I'm connected with the Sony, it looks much better. And so it was a big step up. The other thing is that my webcam, when I was using it recently for some Zoom calls, front facing, it would just go out of focus and stay out of focus. And I could not get it to go back in focus. And so I know there's a software program that you can download and all this stuff. And I just thought, I don't really want the headache of this. Right. So yeah, that was my experience. But I also don't think I would rather you spend the money on a microphone first, then worry about your camera. And if you have it in the budget and that's an investment you're able to make, I absolutely think some of the mirrorless cameras with a capture card they look fantastic.
So there you go, folks. You have it, right? If you have the webcam, that's all you can afford. Kat says, stay with it. But everybody knows you're going to want to upgrade one day. So if you're thinking of upgrading, or whenever you're ready to upgrade, then upgrade, right? Get a mirrorless camera or a better camera that you can upgrade. That will allow you to look better, because the better you look, the more engagement you will get, the more attention you will grab, and the more professional you will look, right?
And
hey,
I would add, no matter which camera you have, really practice looking directly into the camera. It will make a difference. They're not always sure why they're paying more attention to you, but if you are looking into that camera lens, they sense it and they'll be more drawn to you. Whereas if you're kind of just looking down at the screen and you want to see the people's faces on the call and you're not actually making that eye contact, it's a really big difference. Even though it's subtle, It might even be imperceptible for some people, but I have had people say, I don't know why, but I feel like I'm drawn towards looking at you right now. What's going on? And when I explain what's happening, you disengage with people who aren't looking at you. So
Correct.
practicing looking in the camera, regardless of which camera you have, even if it's a built-in, practice doing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something, some of those things that we don't usually think about and can be uncomfortable, right? Because you're like, I'm just looking at myself in this in this camera, even if you have a teleprompter, it's still strange, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, that's a big deal. Maintaining eye contact, if you want to put
Yeah.
it a different way, right? That's what Kat is saying, because you know, whenever you're having a meeting or anything face to face, you say, hey, maintain eye contact, because as you're maintaining eye contact, now people are more focused in what you're saying and they're
Yeah.
connected more with you. So same way, right? This video, I bet you, if I was mostly looking right here or right here, which is exactly where my screen is, you'll be like, why isn't JP looking at us?
Yeah.
I know for the folks that are listening, they'll be like, what is he doing? Well, again, hop on YouTube, watch the video on JP Hightek Reviews, and you know what we're talking about. But yeah, very, very great advice. Now, before we let you go, what will be the last thing you want to share with us before we talk about social media, right? What will be the last thing you want to share that we need to make sure we keep on our list in order to be a pro presenter or get to that level one day?
So I think aside from the stuff we already talked about, one of the best things you can do is upping your energy level, and it feels uncomfortable and it feels unnatural, but the camera steals some of your energy. So you might think that you sound engaged, but what's actually coming across to the other people, it's muted. It kind of dulls down a little. So I want you to over exaggerate. And I know that most people feel so uncomfortable with that concept that they just will say, yeah, I get it, but I'm not going to do that. Then I would say record yourself. So hop into an empty meeting, practice saying something once the way you would normally say it, then do it, but with more energy. Yes, you will feel silly at first, but practice and watch it back. And I learned this technique last summer. And when I look back at some of my old content, I realized I always wondered why at the time that I was recording it, I thought I sounded interested, but when I watched it back, it was kind of flat and dull. And I could not really get why that was happening. And I didn't know that the camera does pull some of that energy away. So if you can just sound really excited a lot more, it's going to help you a lot to make that connection, to sound more engaged, and to keep people's attention.
That's true. That's true. And I love that you're saying that. Again, folks, you got to take that training because there's way more that she can provide, right? At that training. Again, go to catmulvihill.com, CATMULVIHILL.com.
Just
I had to
like
think about that
right
for a
on the
second, right?
screen there.
He's on the screen. Her name is right
Yeah.
there. The website is right there on the screen. For the listeners, hey, there you go, right? Mulvihill.com. But yeah, and I will add to that, you know, being engaging is everything. People invest in engagement. They even buy to get engagement, right? They pay social media, pay companies to get more engagement. And yes, you need to make sure you elevate that and that you're actually interesting, right? So it takes a practice to do that. But it is crucial to make sure that you are truly engaging, because we only listen to an engaged speaker, an interesting speaker, somebody that's going to captivate your attention. And so if you know you're not that type of person or that's not your strong suit, then guess what? Practice. We can all practice what area we're not strong at and improve that area. And guess what? Your online presentation will be better.
Well,
Yeah, and one day.
it's like you say that if you stop learning, you stop growing. It's the exact same thing when it comes to presentations. Just keep learning, keep practicing, get uncomfortable, and you will get better.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm glad that you closed it with that. The day you stop learning, you stop growing. Well, Kat, I want to thank you for your time here. Please wait behind stage as I go ahead and close with my folks here, and I'll be right back with you. Thanks again. Oh,
Thank you.
guess what? We didn't talk about your social media, did we? No. All right,
That's
folks, let's talk
okay.
about her on social media before we let her go. Where can we find you on social media, Kat?
Well, it's funny because as a branding expert, you would probably cringe because I can teach you how to present, but when it comes to social media, not my best. But I am on Instagram and Twitter, and I do have a Facebook page as well. I just, that's an area I need to keep learning and growing.
Not a problem. We just want to connect. We're not going to judge
Yes,
that, Kat. We're
please
like,
connect with
no,
me.
let's not judge. Let's just connect with her. If and
Yeah.
you're, she said she's open. You want to connect and ask her some questions. You want to book
Yeah.
her for anything. She is a professional speaker as well. So connect with her. She's open. Just reach out. Reach out. That's what it's all about, right? The power of networking today. It's through networking that we're here today, providing this valuable content to you guys. So, Kat, I appreciate your spirit. Appreciate everything you provided to us today. Looking forward to people learning more from you, right? And I want to learn more from you as well. So let me go ahead and close it. I'll be right back with you. All right, folks, this is it. This is the Content Creators University. I want to thank you. If you appreciate this type of content, thank you for being here with us. Again, shout out to the folks that joined us towards the end there. I'm talking about Champs Hicks, Steve Worthy, Enigma September. Thanks everyone that commented, that interacted, that were with us during the live stream. And of course, we do this every single week. Tomorrow we have Joel. Joel's coming here to talk about audio, right? How to get the best audio. What are the things to consider in order to improve our audio? There's more to it than you think. You can have the professional audio and still not think or sound and still not sound the best. How is that? Well, we're about to talk about that, right? The proper position, right? The positioning of your microphone right next to your mouth or away from your mouth, or depending on the type of voice, type of microphone to buy, and all those type of things go into the audio. We're about to talk about that tomorrow. Same time here, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time on the Content Creators University. That's what we do. So stay connected, stay with us, and you be safe like I always say. Shalom. Bye-bye, folks.